Hey everyone, happy Friday. You all know what that means. There'll be a new video out today. Check up there, see the latest one, and that will be on the scuffing of the primer of Project Zero inside and actually laying down the white paint. That was definitely a huge step, making some progress, and then you'll have to check out the next videos. Got some more exciting stuff going on with the donor car and also with actually getting Project Zero brought home. Today I am headed on a road trip. Going to head into town here, grab some fuel, and then I've got a bit of a trek to the southern Ontario area. Gonna pick up some shop equipment, some parts, and maybe a couple other goodies. So I'll take you guys along for that ride and give you a sneak peek of some of the items that I'm acquiring here. Gonna be a good day. It's definitely chilly, but that also means the roads aren't sloppy and messy, which definitely makes it a little nicer for driving. So, grab some fuel here in a couple minutes and then carry on. So we're all topped off on fuel now. Gonna dip onto the freeway here and get our road trip started. I am very excited to be able to pick up a couple of these items. One of them being a plasma cutter and AC/DC combo TIG welder. It is from Everlast. They had a sale on earlier this year around the Boxing Day time, and right now with everything going on, they're only available for curbside pickup Monday to Friday, and of course I work my normal office job Monday to Friday, so every once in a while I get a Friday off when I work a Saturday, so taking advantage. Gonna go down, pick that up. I used a plasma cutter of Dale's at the shop when I was disassembling my parts. A donor car was really slick. So at that point I realized I definitely had to have one of my own. I've always wanted to take the time to get into TIG welding, learn that, and the combo machines that they have now, really good technology, really stable, and it made for a great time to get into both. I've got a bit more plasma work to do with cutting the floor pan out of Project Zero and then welding in the donor section, so that'll be useful for that, and who knows what else I'll find for it in the future. The opportunities and options are pretty endless there. I currently have borrowed a really nice Hypertherm plasma unit from my buddy and very close friend Andrew, and he's actually the one that picked up my cars with the Peterbilt when we did the original road trip there. Very close friend that I've known for quite some time now, ever since actually the second year of high school, and it was due to Foxbodies that we met. I had an 87 GT hatch back when I was 16 and 17, and he had a little black 4-cylinder coupe at the time, which he later 5-liter swapped and sold off a couple years later. He has a salvage car, really clean, but unfortunately had an interior fire. He's had that for about 10 years now, and just hasn't had the time to build it. Recently though, he has acquired another car that you guys may have seen a little bit on the infamous Project channel, so I won't spoil that surprise. You guys are gonna have to stay tuned for that. But it's really nice to have friends that are in the community and Foxbody fans, and also very good at helping you out, as I've mentioned before. Some good friends with shop space and tools and equipment. Super handy when you're trying to build a car too. On the topic of meeting friends through Foxbodies, which there has been many along the way, that is actually originally how Infamous and I met. I would have been 16 or 17 at the time. I had my GT till I was about 19. And one day I had left the car in the driveway at home. I believe I was having a charging problem, a dead alternator at the time. So found alternative transportation to go hang out with some friends for the evening, left the car in the driveway. And when I got home, he had left a note, which he's actually very famous for doing now, stating that he was interested in my front clear corner lights for a car that he had just finished at the time and had other parts available if I was interested. He wanted to trade stock lights for those and then try and make a deal on something else. So I conveniently needed an alternator. He had one, and we became very, very close friends ever since. I actually lived with him for about a year in one of his previous homes, and I've traveled around the world with him in many places, gone and visited him in Dubai a couple times when he lived over there. And just amazing to think of how such a simple little thing as lights can form such a strong friendship that's lasted longer than many of my other lifelong friendships. So good to find those people and find those links and keep them going. Thought I'd tell you a little bit more about myself on this drive as well. I have a fairly large automotive background. I am a Canadian-wide licensed automotive technician. I started off at the age of 17 in an independent auto shop. It was actually pretty small. They had a large truck shop up front and then a small, essentially two bay, two hoist shop in the back of their lot that I worked out of with one other gentleman. And I had a lot of exposure to every kind of brand. They weren't afraid to let me try a job out for the first time or jump right in and learn how to do something, do a timing belt, pull a transmission. And the technician that I worked with at the time was very good too, with not giving me the answers to every question I asked. When you get partway through, you're not sure how to take something apart, so your natural reaction is to ask a question. You can learn a lot from asking questions, but his approach was to actually make me learn myself. They had a whole wall full of motor brand automotive manuals. So if I asked a question and he thought I'd be able to figure it out on my own, he'd direct me to the manuals. And he'd say, go pull it off the shelf, pick through that manual, and see if he could find the answer. He was also very, very thorough with torque specs, actually over thorough at some points, to the point that he would do caliper saddles, caliper bolts. All of that was torqued. There was none just putting it on with a ratchet or a wrench. There's nothing wrong with that, because if you're trying to teach someone to, that's a great approach, because you know they're going to be tight and nothing's going to come back and cause you a problem later on. I really appreciated all the help that I got from him and how much of a learning experience that was when I was newer to the automotive industry. I then went and worked at a Ford dealership that I had previously done a high school co-op at. I worked on their fast lane side for about a year and started my apprenticeship there as well. I was signed up originally at the independent shop that I started at, and then I had an opportunity offered to me in a local Chrysler shop, which I knew another guy that was working at it, and he filled me in that they had an opening there and it would be a good growth opportunity. So I was there for 5 years and I got a ton more exposure there too. I worked on everything imaginable. I specialized in modified Jeeps. Anything that was modified that came through the door tended to end up in my bay. I did a lot of diesel work because I had a heavy duty hoist. You're pulling transmissions, rebuilding engines, warranty work as well. You had a piston knock, they weren't afraid to actually have somebody pull it down, put 8 new pistons in it, and do that as opposed to pulling the engine out and sending it to a machine shop. Really appreciate the exposure I got there as well, because it has helped me grow so much for what I'm working on now. I'm currently not actually a practicing automotive technician. I do work in a local luxury car dealership, and I'm in the service side as a commercial fleet manager, but my strong automotive background really helps me in that position. And I have domestic background from the Chrysler side. I worked in the independent shop, so I worked on everything there. Ford specific training, and for a couple years I also worked at a local Nissan dealership, so I have some Japanese background as well and factory training there. So just a very broad spectrum in the automotive world, and putting all that together really helps you work on anything, or helps you when you get into a new brand to be able to soak up that new information and relate it to something that you're familiar with in the past and keep going with it. So I've been at the local dealership now, the luxury car dealership, for about 5 years, and it's definitely a different day-to-day for me. Used to having hands-on, working in the shop, but there's been a lot of learning experiences with that too, from an administrative side, and also growing customer service skills even more. I had a lot of background even before I got into automotive with customer service, but there's always something you can learn. New experiences help you grow, and you just put all that into your skills that you possess, and they'll help you even further later in life. Depends what you want to do. If you want to open your own shop, then all of that can be very beneficial, because you've got both sides of the business. If you work in a smaller shop, a lot of them don't have service advisors that necessarily sell the work to the customer, or the technicians will be bringing the customers out into the workshop to show the repairs that are required. So if you've got customer service background there, you can relate to a customer a lot easier, also relay the information to them, bring it across in terms that they're going to understand, and not always just tech talk. So that's a little bit about me, and I hope you guys enjoy everything that I've brought across so far with the content of building on the car. I'm excited for more to happen, actually see some tangible progress. So far it's been a lot of really time-consuming work that a lot of prep work goes into, a lot of cleaning, 12 hours of removing sand, for example, before being able to prime the car. But once we start getting some sheet metal on there and have the car set up that we're able to bolt some parts onto, make it closer to a roller, it's really going to start looking like it's coming along. And then get some engine, transmission, interior, it'll start looking like a real car. It's going to be a little while before I get into the point of being able to do the exterior paint, but I do have most of the parts together to be able to finish the car off. There's a couple little things here and there, and as I get assembling, I'll probably realize there's a couple more pieces that I want, but having a donor car makes a world of difference. Even though it was smashed, there's some parts in the front that weren't usable. You've got wiring harnesses and connectors and engine, transmission, driveline, everything like that goes a lot further. You're going to have all the hardware you need. You're not trying to piece things together, going out and buying K-member bolts from somebody, and that's $40, and then you want to buy front bumper mounting hardware from somebody else, and that's $20, and it just snowballs from there, and you get pretty deep into a project, and financially deep as well. So if you can find a donor car that's clean, I would strongly recommend it, because it's made my life a lot easier. I've always had a strong love for Foxbodies, especially having one as my first car. I unfortunately didn't have any after that until the current one. Trying to grow a professional career and the money that you need to put out for tools. Also looking into buying a house at the time, and then achieving that. Your money gets redirected other ways, so I'm sure a lot of you can relate that those hobbies and kind of early cars that you had that you want to get again kind of get put on the back burner for a certain while. I definitely didn't do without cars, I just did without Foxbodies. I got into the BMW world and I've had multiple of them. I currently have one as my daily driver, had a couple as my summer enjoyment cars as well. Seems to be a fairly common thing with a lot of Foxbody enthusiasts as well, that they're also into BMWs. Kind of interesting on that. I currently have a 92 325 IS BMW coupe that I do have an M3 engine swap done in and full suspension. A lot of driveline modifications as well, and roll cage, sway bars, a lot of Aishi Schnitzer German tuning parts, aero package, and some other rare goodies that you can't really find anymore. So that definitely filled the void when I didn't have a Foxbody. And also, I took care of a lot of Infamous's cars when he was out of the country. I went and purchased the Blue Brother coupe for him, inspected, and then went back and purchased it a week later. Drove that one for a couple weeks. He always has his cars in storage and doesn't want them to sit for too long, so I've always appreciated that he's been willing to let me drive them and get some enjoyment out of them. Benefits him too, because his cars get moving, keep the fluids flowing, brakes cleaned up, and other things like that. So it's always been a good time. I've had lots of involvement in the Foxbody community. Just haven't been able to drive my own for a while. So I'm excited to get this car together and be able to enjoy that firsthand again. Here we are, setting times. Special pickup door. Here we are. I guess we'll see if it'll fit in the trunk. Probably the easiest.
That's your large cover.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Enjoy your welder.
Oh, I will. Take care. There we have it. Another stop down. Could have myself my Everlast product here in the back seat. Really excited to start playing with that and seeing what I can do, and having the option for aluminum TIG welding will be amazing. I don't have any direct plans for that yet, but even just the ability to do aluminum repairs, also TIG, will give me the option to be able to do stainless, a lot tighter than just the MIG with stainless wire. So I'll have some of that that'll definitely put to use later on the project. Got a couple big things ahead of me before I get to that. But for now, the biggest thing will be the use of the plasma. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm gonna have to try and get that unboxed and get to it tomorrow and see what I can use it for. Look at that, pretty trusting seller. leaving them in the boxes on the porch for me. I haven't even paid him in full yet. He was nice enough to say if I like the underdrive pulleys to just send him an email transfer for the remainder. Another successful pickup. It's really nice that people in the Mustang community are that trusting to leave a couple $100s worth of parts sitting on their front porch and nobody home, and tell you that you can just e-transfer over the remainder if you decide you like the additional parts, or leave them there and they'll take them back. So I appreciate the community for sure, and also the good buys on some brand new parts. Now I think it's time to find some food. On the home stretch now, back in my neck of the woods, and got a pretty sweet sunset going on in the background. Just coming up on some of the people getting off work. Heavier traffic here, but not too bad. All in all, a good day on the road, and nothing too crazy in the negative side, so that was greatly appreciated. Feeling pretty productive, actually. Hope you guys enjoyed a little ride along, something a little different. And be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, share all the videos. Can't wait to keep making more, making some progress, using the equipment I got today, and making bigger and better things. Hope you all have a great weekend.